when it comes to peer and expert review, if a researcher, author understands the process, then it is possible that he can take certain precautions while writing the report, while conducting the research, that what is the criteria based on which the experts are going to evaluate your research work, your report. So this kind of insider insight can be helpful. Now this step 7 seeks to make sure that the evidence you are presenting is trustworthy. It is trustworthy enough to travel. Others can adopt it. Which means that the draft is authoritative. Otherwise, the experts will send it back to you to earn that kind of authority. Whenever we say something in a conference, in a workshop, whenever we write something, the first precondition is we must earn the right to say what we are saying. We must earn the right to write what we are writing. And you earn the right by doing work, by doing meticulous research, by understanding your own work, which means it should be authoritative. You can imagine yourself as an authority on by the end of, because you are doing so much of work. You are making so much of effort that by the end of the whole project, you should feel like yourself like an authority on that particular area or topic on which you have worked, so that you can speak with authority. You can claim that this is the kind of work I have done in this particular field. I have examined so many countries. I have analyzed so much of data, and now I stand before you as an authority on this subject. And authority always reflects in the kind of work we do. The knowledge product, this is the term which is used in the documents, chairship document. Every knowledge product that emerges from India's chairship must be able to withstand scrutiny of law. We'll discuss this. Scrutiny of rights, scrutiny of operational reality, and the scrutiny of lived experiences. There should not be a very wide gap between what we are saying and what is the lived experience. So this step 7 is all about institutional scrutiny. And the idea is that the process of knowledge production should be inclusive. The process of knowledge production should be participative. The process of knowledge production should be representative. So there are several groups and there are several stages during which experts will examine and review the work done. There are certain guiding terms which we keep in our mind. If we keep in our mind those guiding terms, they are like checklists. And when we are writing a research report or research paper, especially with regard to this India's chairship project, there are certain guiding keywords which have been mentioned in certain reports like 2025 OECD Implementation Toolkit. This toolkit is with regard to implementation of policies and ensuring the quality standards of the reports. They use the terms like independence, impartiality, transparency, professional ethics, self-explanatory terms. Similarly, the United Nations Evaluation Group, they also add certain terms which we can keep in our mind. Ownership, you should be able to own what you have written or presented. Relevance and credibility. So when this expert review will be undertaken, what are we trying to do? We are trying to review your work or get your work reviewed by those experts who understand, who are practitioners themselves, and who can tell and who can reveal whether these kind of suggestions or recommendations or whatever findings can be implemented in reality or not. So they can make certain suggestions, and the international idea with which we have the collaboration, and India has chairship of international idea. They also mention 7 principles, some of which are same, which I have just mentioned. Independence, impartiality, transparency, professionalism. These are same. Some are different. They have added integrity, efficiency, and service-mindedness. So this is a set of keywords which, if we keep in the background of our mind while preparing the reports, it can be helpful. So these are the actually these are the checklists, or these are the points which the reviewers would have. The reports will be tested against these points. And you might have read the chairship documents. They also talk of certain activities which will also reveal the quality of the work. For instance, the chairship documents speak of expert workshops, policy dialogues, regional consultations, joint research, training toolkits, and institutional exchanges. These are all the, you can say, vehicles of a legacy that we are trying to build. These are exactly the settings in which a weak knowledge product will be immediately visible, and a strong and viable knowledge product will be successful. So there are certain tests that reviewers will undertake. Broadly, mainly 4 tests. First is the legal coherence, what we were talking about in the last session as well. Because every best practice takes shape in certain constitutional context, certain administrative context, certain electoral context. And also, as we discussed in the last session in response to Professor Chandrachud's question, that what is legal in one jurisdiction might not be constitutional in some other jurisdiction. So the legal transferability conditions must be mentioned. This is the condition of legal coherence. legal transferability conditions. They need to be mentioned. Second is inclusive rights realization, which means that in our reports there should not be any subtext which goes against equal political participation of minorities, of marginalized groups and women. It is always possible that some kind of bias is introduced, so that report should be clear of any kind of bias which one or the other reviewer can challenge, that this kind of subtext is visible in the report. And third test is democratic information environment. Information environment is very important in these days. A lot of debates, discussions, research is going on in this particular area, which is called, misinformation. You might have heard the term. Disinformation. And these species of misinformation and disinformation come with their own substance and substantiveness, which is actually false. There are deep fakes. One must be cautious that these kind of informations, sets of informations which are not facts, should not enter in a report in any way. And fourth, which is very important, is implementability. Because all these reports, IIIDEM reports, will also serve as implementation guides. And as implementation guides, a strong implementation guide should not tell what should be done, what you ought to do, not prescriptive in that sense, but a strong implementation section would explain what can be done best in certain circumstances without violating rights and without creating new problems while dealing with the existing problems. It is always possible that we suggest a solution to a particular problem, but this solution becomes or can lead to new kind of problems. It is always possible. So that kind of problem proofing at the initial step and initial stage is very essential. So it should be legal, inclusive, informational, and implementable. Just trying to make this point with very simple examples. It is possible that someone identifies the website of a particular election management body as a best practice. For instance, someone can report that a national election management body has built an excellent website. It has real-time results, a candidate finder, a polling station locator, and this website, its design, wins praise at